we start our pre-agenda meeting. I will call the meeting to order. Invocation will be by Commissioner Barbara Aycock. Pledge of Allegiance will be Vice Chairman Freeman Hardison. Then we'll have approval of the minutes. Discussion, adjustments of the agenda. Mr. Honeycutt, do we have any adjustments?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Good morning. There's a couple of things we would like to add on. One, I believe Carol has given you a memo from our staff attorney, Andrew Neal, about changing the membership or the officers for the Maxwell Center for our ABC permit. The current permit has listed former Commissioner Bill Pate and former Commissioner Joe Gurley. So we need to make those changes. What we will do is just have the county manager and the Maxwell Center director, whoever that be the officers, be allowed to sign the ABC permit. So that we would add under consent agenda as number 5. But the other thing that we would like to add on, as the board is aware, there were some changes in the SROs with respect to the city of Goldsboro pulling back a couple of positions. We had talked about adding that position in after the budget, but one of the things we have not done has done that formally. So we would like to add that as an additional item as number 6 under consent. Approval of a new position for the SRO for the Sheriff's Department, and that will be along with appropriate budget amendment.
This is the motion, sir, on the Maxwell Center, so whoever wants to.
Yeah, just one. Yeah, it's just.
Also be the equipment.
Right, equipment that's associated with the. Right.
Joe, will you do that, please, sir?
Can we not just add this to the consent agenda?
Yeah.
Do what?
Yeah, yes.
So we don't need to read it then, Carol, just.
Yeah. Just add it to consent agenda.
Yeah, that's what we just wanted you to have the backup documentation for it.
So that'd be item 5 under the consent agenda
Yes, sir.
on the ABC permit?
And then number 6 would be the addition of the SRO position for the Sheriff's Department, along with appropriate budget amendment, which includes equipment.
Is that all the adjustments?
Yes, sir. That is all that I have.
Mr. Chairman, I ask that we add new business so we can discuss our mask policy. Add new business to discuss our mask policy.
If we do that, it'd be the first thing under after consent.
So between that and public comments?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I had a question pertaining to our consent agenda item 43, the budget amendment. And would that be considered old business as well, being that we were discussing this back in?
We can just, Alice was gonna go over the budget amendments, we can discuss it then, can't we?
That was June 15th, because that was something that we discussed prior to even it being on the budget. So that was my question. Maybe one of our attorneys could answer that.
If there's no question or problems, we could leave it under consent. If there's concern and further discussion that needs, then you would pull that off.
Which budget amendment was that?
It's 43.
Yeah, there are some concerns that I have.
It's down at the bottom.
Page 43.
Yeah. Back, there you go.
Oh, that one we can get when we get to budget amendments. Yes, sir. I'm sorry, I was confused with the SRO position Are you okay with SRO?
I am
Being
okay
a-
with the SROs.
Okay.
Okay, do we add the new business or not?
I don't have a problem with adding new business to discuss the mask policy. Anyone else have issue with it? Adding it to discuss the mask policy?
Do we have a vote on that, to put new business or not?
So are
We
we
don't.
pulling that budget amendment out of consent and having a discussion on it and then voting on the budget amendment?
Do you want to go over, well, we were going to go over all the budget amendments first, but if there's concern at that point, we can then pull it out and then put it as an agenda item.
Is this,
That's fine.
is this budget amendment 128?
Yes, sir.
Okay, not 43. Okay, it's page 43.
Yeah, page 43.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, got it.
Yesterday, certain items here added to the agenda is the delegated ABC designate for the Maxwell Center, the motion to approve an SRO position with the sheriff's office and appropriate budget amendment.
Yeah, for position
then-
and equipment.
For position and equipment. And discussion of mask policy for Wayne County,
That's new business.
under new business.
Right.
Yes, sir. The other two were under consent.
Right.
Thank you, sir.
Does anyone else have anything?
Yes, I'd like to add a discussion for I know we discussed the evening meetings, but I'd like to just discuss it a little further, if possible.
Pleasure to the board. Huh?
Quiet group this morning.
Yeah, it'd be unfinished business if you decide to add that back.
Well, that's up to the board. Any comments?
I'm fine with it, Mr.
Okay.
Chairman.
Add it under unfinished business.
Thank you.
So where would that be at?
Okay, we'll go unfinished after consent, and then new business after that discussion.
Can we get some new paper from Mr. Smith?
The new business is actually after consent, unfinished would be before consent,
Okay.
after the public hearing.
All right.
Let me add that.
Okay, where we at special presentations now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and
We'll have our pins, our employee service pins. Then after that, their appointment committee.
Mr. Gurley, you have anything to do?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all righty.
And
Then 9:30 public hearing on the voter district plan for the Wayne County Board of Commissioners.
yes, sir. And then after the public hearing, we will then have the unfinished business, discussion of possible night commissioner meetings. And then we will have consent agenda. Number one is application for disabled veteran exclusion on pages 31 through 34, which is recommended for approval by staff. Then application for property tax exclusion on pages 35 and 37, again, which is recommended for approval by staff. And then number 3 is our budget amendments, and I'll turn that over to Allison.
Okay, your budget amendments begin on page 38. And the first one is for wages. This is to appropriate grant funds for this fiscal year in the amount of $374,768. This is a pass-through for us. Your next budget amendment is for facilities. We're requesting to reallocate funds from facilities to the EMS line item. This was originally budgeted, the water and service maintenance contracts was originally budgeted in facilities line items, which is where our other general fund activity is budgeted typically. But we do receive EMS Medicaid cost reimbursement for these expenditures for EMS, so we needed to separate those out so that it's more clear when we file that report.
Mr. Chairman, water bill of 21.6.
Yes, but this would be for all your EMS stations, so all your locations.
Still seems awful high.
Mine's $100 a month at my house, and I don't have sewer. That's water and sewer, right, on some of them. Yeah, so that's probably a couple $100 a month, that's 24.
There's actually 11 stations.
Or 11.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, your next budget amendment is for the planning department. This is to appropriate funds for the contract with Withers Ravenel to prepare a cost estimate and repair recommendations for Lane Tree Village and Eagle Ridge subdivisions. There was I've got a memo attached to this. When I went back through the minutes, the board discussed on June 15th and July 20th receiving estimates from NCDOT. However, the discussion was that since NCDOT figures were unrealistic, the county would be contracting with Withers Ravenel. But a budget amendment was not done at that time. So this budget amendment is to appropriate funds to contract with Withers Ravenel for this cost estimate. If the county moves forward with these street assessments, the cost of this would be recouped through the street assessments. If they do not move forward, then the county absorbs that cost. And I know there was some question about that, so I'll.
Where do we
pause for a
stand
second.
on the applications for this?
We've really not done much with applications. What we wanted to do is get a good cost estimate first, and so that way we could go back to the residents and say, this is, we're fairly certain this is the cost that you would be assessed if these streets are repaved.
Because then the petition would have to be done all over.
Right. And again, but we wanted to have good figures, and we didn't want to give somebody unrealistic figures, and then they say, yeah, we sign and we're agreeable to this, and then it comes back, $10,000 or $15,000 more, whatever the cost is, and then they said, no, we're not going to do this. So,
Mr. Chairman, my concern was initially when I discussed the street assessments pertaining to Eagle Ridge and Lane Tree, it was strongly stated to me that Lane Tree, they were not going to want to they were not going to want to be part of this, the majority of the individuals. So my concern is, why are we going to pay for the estimate for Lane Tree if we already know that Lane Tree is not going to be on board with this project?
We have a petition for Lane Tree and Eagle Ridge, both of them met the minimum requirements.
Well, when I was talking to staff attorney, Andrew, and Andrew, can you elaborate pretty much what you explained to me?
We have two petitions, and both of them meet the criteria, the 75%. I think we speculated that once the costs come in and we go to re-verify the Lane Tree petition, they won't meet that anymore. I think was kind of the sense we got from the people who live in that community right now. But as of right now, their petition is still valid.
Okay.
But there has been a lot of property ownership, so we'd have to go back and verify all of those property owners first. And we suspect that they will no longer meet the petition. But
I just don't want us wasting any money that when we could just go ahead and we can get an estimate for Eagle Ridge, which is much, much smaller.
Right.
Because it seemed like the majority of this estimate is going to be for Lane Tree.
And I did speak to Allison and Chip that when they come back, that they invoice those two separately, so that way Eagle Ridge doesn't bear the cost of
Thank you.
the Lane Tree. So their cost would only be isolated to their study.
Thank you.
Does Eagle Ridge connect to another state maintained road now?
It does. I don't recall which one, but I know it does. Yeah.
When were the petitions?
16,
16,
15,
yeah.
16 maybe,
Yep.
before I started working with the
Have we
county.
heard anything else from Lane Tree on it? I mean, we know that some individuals from Eagle Ridge had reached out, but had anyone from Lane Tree reached out about it?
I think there's been some sporadic calls,
Oh, yeah, exactly. I get calls right away. It's
maybe.
not even my
I mean, I wouldn't say it's consistent, but,
Okay,
you know.
but they are, okay.
A few every couple of months, maybe. Mostly to the manager's office, I believe. I know some have reached out to some commissioners as well.
Yes, they have. I get calls on it.
This
But-
is the same process we used when we did North Ridge, Canterbury Village. We obtained SETI engineering to provide the pre-cost estimates. I think their bill was somewhere around $25,000.
That sounds right.
It's the same process.
And again, we wanted to make sure when we went back and re-verified the petitions that we had accurate figures, because a lot of what somebody may or may not sign.
The driving force here is we've already got the petitions.
Right.
And it met the criteria.
Right.
So.
So once those
We don't,
calls,
and if we're not going to go by our guidelines by since the two petitions meet the criteria, I think that's the driving force in us moving forward, which I agree. I hate to spend that kind of money and then they say no. But then again, we've already got the petitions and they meet the requirements.
so once those costs come back, you have to have a public hearing, and for everybody in those neighborhoods to provide input on that. And then they have up until you confirm that preliminary roll to withdraw their name. And if at any time they fall below that threshold, then the project cannot move forward by statute.
Mr. Chair, let me ask this question, Andrew. Have we got anything in place if we spend the money on any subdivision talking about this and they decline? We don't have anything in place where they can't come back and
Statute dictates how it
Okay.
operates, and there's no recourse.
Right.
to claim any of that.
Well, I'm just saying, have we got any way to keep them from coming right back 3 months from now and saying, well, we want to do it now? I mean, or a year from now, I guess I should say.
Yeah, you can agree to not do it, because at that point, I would argue it would start the new process from the beginning and they go back to the back.
Right, I got you, okay. I just,
It's completely within the board's discretion whether or not to
Right.
pursue a project.
well, good luck on getting driveway tiles. They're about 2 months behind.
So Commissioner Williams, are you pretty much, you okay with this?
I am okay with it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Your next budget amendment on page 44 is for the sheriff's office. This is to appropriate donations received for the fiscal year so far, and also to appropriate funds received on sale of ads for the law enforcement calendar in the amount of $5,005. Your next budget amendment is for the sheriff's office. They're requesting to appropriate fund balance in the amount of $4,000. This is to cover professional fees for legal services.
Allison,
Yes, ma'am.
fund balance appropriation here, I mean, is there not another fund that these funds can be redirected or reallocated to? I mean,
We did look before we did that appropriation, and they're just their budget was already tight as it was. I think we've probably reallocated some funds already, and so we just did not have anywhere else to pull it from. But we did ask them to look for that.
I noticed in a lot of the fund balance, or budget amendments, we've used fund balance. And
Yes, ma'am. Your next budget amendment is for the sheriff's office, anticipating funds in the amount of $10,207.26. And this is due to a vehicle accident, which the deputy was not at fault, but these are the insurance proceeds so that they can repair the vehicle. You have a budget amendment from Cooperative Extension in the amount of $638. And this is for the dairy project that they will hold. And this will be fees received, and those fees will be used to have that. I think it's a program that they do out on a dairy farm. They participate with Cherry Farm and several other counties. For social services, you have a budget amendment to increase the low-income energy assistance program in the amount of $149,397. This is to balance with the latest funding authorization from the state. They prepare an estimate at the original budget time, and then they receive additional notifications of funding authorizations throughout the year. So this balances to that. For the health department, you have a budget amendment appropriating $4,371 in fund balance. This is fund balance specifically for the health department and can be used for specific expenditures. So this is for travel, meals, and lodging and incentives. And this will be used as an in-kind amount for the partnership grant that they received. They do have to put up an in-kind match, and this will serve as that match. The next budget amendment is also for the health department, requesting to reallocate $7,000 from other medical supplies to drugs and related supplies. This is just moving from one line item to another, a reallocation, and this will be to purchase child immunization vaccinations. Your next budget amendment is for Wayne County Development Alliance line items that we have in our budget. This is to appropriate fund balance for the hotel agreement in the amount of $137,352. So there's two pieces to this. There's $12,352 that is being used for the survey that was done for the hotel, and then the remaining part is 25% that's due upon issuance of construction permits. And this is 25% of the $500,000 that we have an agreement with the hotel on for construction of meeting rooms and parking for those meeting rooms.
Also, Ms. Pennicott, I noticed the for sale sign is still up out there where we're going to put the hotel. Is there a reason for that?
There's still a couple of lots in the back that the city is trying to market for restaurants, and we're going to try to.
The sign needs to be moved in.
Yes, sir. But we need to work with them and try to get that marketed as well. But yeah, we're excited. The deed's been recorded on the hotel, so they're moving forward. So we're excited. So hopefully we can get a groundbreaking soon on that.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a question on the survey? Is that part of what the realignment and all that? I mean, is there a difference? Is it broken out of what was spent prior to us? It's not.
From the survey of the three, that track into three parcels of which was transferred, one from the city to us.
Then we had a couple of, revisions that we had to go through with the city and also with the hotelier. So there was that cost that was associated as well.
Okay.
Okay, your next budget amendment on page 59 is titled Sanctuary Systems. This would fall under our WCDA line items as well. This is to anticipate and obligate grant funds received from Department of Commerce for sanctuary systems in the amount of $79,829.51. These are pass-through funds for us, so we'll receive those funds from the state and in turn pay that out to Sanctuary Systems. And this money is only issued once they've met the requirements of that grant.
And they finally have met their job requirements and investment requirements, and I think Sanctuary is actually growing some, so, which is a good thing. So, but I appreciate Commissioner Aycock working with us on that as well.
Thank you.
Okay, your final budget amendment is for the staff attorney's office. This is to anticipate additional funds in the amount of $100,000 received. The staff attorney's office has over-collected surplus property funds due to high auction prices of foreclosure sales, and so they are anticipating and obligating those funds accordingly.
Good job.
And that's all I have for you.
Okay. Then number 4, motion to approve proclamation honoring Continental Societies Incorporated 60th anniversary. And you have a copy of that proclamation on page 63, as they're committed to socioeconomic and cultural welfare for underprivileged special needs children and youth. So that proclamation is in the back.
They, on that one, they reached out to me and Carol, checked it out, and it's a worthy cause, so.
Yes. And then we also added the approval of the SRO position for the Sheriff's Department, along with appropriate budget amendment. Oh.
ABC.
And ABC, I'm sorry, thank you. The ABC change as far as the officer for our permit, which would be the Maxwell Center manager and the county manager. And then number 6, the SRO approval along with appropriate equipment and budget amendment to the Sheriff's Department. And again, that was the loss of SRO by the city of Goldsboro that the board decided to add. We just have never done that formally. And then after consent agenda, we do have new business, which will be the discussion of the county's mandatory mask policy.
Okay.
And then public comments, county manager's report, Board of Commissioners committee reports. We do not have closed session today, so there's no issues to go into closed session today.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Did you mention, I might have been reading something. Did you mention the unfinished business of the evening meetings after the public hearing?
We did that. That will be after the public hearing.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
And again, no closed session, and then adjournment.
Okay. We will reconvene at 9 o'clock for our regular meeting.
Yes, sir.